Hello readers, I'm Amy. I meant to post this tag earlier and it just didn't happen for several reasons, but doing it now, if people don't end up doing this tag again until next year, that's fine. Anyways, I wanted to make my own tag because I was shopping around the other day and I was at Target and I found a copy of, I believe it was 1997's, it might be 1994, but I'm pretty sure it's 1997's Tower of Terror movie with Kirsten Dunst. And I have been searching for that movie literally for a decade. It was what, junior high? Maybe the last time I saw that movie, the last time it was on Disney Channel. And suddenly I see this single copy just sitting at Target for $5. So I bought the movie, I watched it, I came up with a tag while I was watching it. This movie, it's not great, it's not terrible, but it's just so nostalgic for me. And I feel like for those who have watched it, it's the movie that everyone forgot, but it's still a solidly interesting storyline. So I went ahead and came up with some questions. I haven't counted these. I don't know if there's 10 or 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 9 questions. I don't know. I wasn't going for a specific number. I just wanted to make a tag that was themed around this movie. So if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I think it's supposed to be available on YouTube. Try and find where you can watch it if you can. I think you could also get maybe a $5 copy on Amazon. I don't know. But I've been trying so hard to find this movie and I found it and I'm excited. So here we go. I'm going to tag some people at the end. Some of them I wanted to tag because I want to see what they can turn this into, and some others asked to be tagged whenever I asked on Twitter if anyone wanted to take part. So let's go ahead and get started with this. First question, or first prompt, I guess, is The Tower. So The Tower of Terror. The Tower, a book that's a terrifying ride. So, of course, I had to make these spooky questions because it's Tower of Terror and it's spooky season. Of course, the most terrifying book on my shelf, we all know this by now, Tender is the Flesh. I have a standalone review. I'll put it up in the corner if you want to know more. This book is not for the faint-hearted, or faint of heart. I think you can say it both ways. Basically, it's kind of a look at the meat industry-ish. I think I had some other thoughts that I'd have to rewatch my own video just to get a refresher. But it's basically animals supposedly have this virus that makes them inedible. So we've started breeding and raising humans specifically for the purpose of being eaten. What does that society look like? How do we treat those humans? What do the people who work in that industry look like? And we're following a main character who is working in that industry, and it's really freaky. Trigger warning for so many things. Trigger warning for sex in a butcher shop. Trigger warning for a couple sentences of animal abuse that were really rough. Trigger warning for cannibalism. This is terrifying, but also it's one of the best books I've ever read, and I think this is the only Basque Rican novel that I've checked into so far that is translated into English. She is from Argentina. I'm hoping that more of her books will get translated because at this point, who am I kidding? I'm never going to take the time to learn Spanish. I should! I don't know when I'm going to find the time at this point. Also, I just kind of suck at languages generally. But regardless, you should check out Tender is the Flesh if you think you can handle it. Next up, we have Sally Shine, and for this prompt, I said a Shirley Temple character. Sally Shine is clearly inspired by Shirley Temple. She's cute, she's tiny, she's a child, she's got a little pink dress, she's a dancer. I could have actually recommended Shirley Temple's autobiography for this, which is a little lengthy, but I mean, who else could be inspired by Shirley Temple than Shirley Temple? But I did decide to go with a far more interesting book, I think, because like I said, that autobiography was very long-winded. I had to go with A Little Princess. For one thing, this edition, this Barnes & Noble leather-bound edition, is gorgeous. You've got the pink cover, you've got the gold accents, you've got the contrast of the blue. This is just a gorgeous book. It reminds me of Shirley Temple when I look at it. And also, the character of Sarah just reminds me of her. She's a child, she's treated like a princess, and then when she loses all of her money because of an accident with her father, she continues to act pretty much the same way she did before, where she doesn't have nearly as much as she used to, but she'll still give everything that she has in order to make others happy. And to me, that is a true princess. Kind of like Diana. Princess Diana was my idea of a true princess. So that'll be my recommendation for that. And then we have Witchcraft, favorite witchy book. I got to thinking about this, and honestly, I don't think I've read a ton of super witchy books that I've really liked. And before I mention this is still like my top favorite witchy series ever. I have to mention Harry Potter here. I am in no way trying to endorse J.K. Rowling. I bought all of the books that I have, or acquired all of the books that I have, before anything came out about her. I have not purchased anything Harry Potter related since. I've had this book for years. I just want to mention that it is still my favorite witchy series, my favorite witchy books. If you have some witch stories that you think I would really love, please recommend them down below, because I would love to explore that like topic more. I feel like I don't know what's out there, or they're not books that I immediately think about when I think of what I want to read, but I really want to start reading more witchy books. I think they're a good time. Then we have The National Inquisitor. This was Disney's take on the National Enquirer. It's the newspaper that Kirsten Dunst's anyways, it's the paper that her dad works at in the movie. So, National Inquisitor, a story that could be in the National Enquirer. I have two recommendations for this. I had picked one, and then I thought about it, and I kind of wanted to pick another, so I just picked both. I have to mention Horror Store from Grady Hendrix. It would be perfect for National Enquirer. Like, IKEA is haunted by ghosts. That would totally be on the cover. Horror Store is essentially about an IKEA-like place that people think are haunted, and all of the employees decide to, well, not all of the employees. Certain employees are chosen to stick around after hours in order to find out more about the hauntings. And then you have pages like this. This is the beginning of the chapter. It shows some furniture that they're selling. It describes the furniture. And if you go to the page, like, see, is it at the beginning of this? Oh, it's got like an order form and everything. But there's sections of this where it's like, if you want to learn more about this furniture, go to such and such a page number, and that furniture does in fact appear on that page. This is the front cover. It looks like it would be an IKEA catalog. You've got some creepy elements, but generally it looks nice. And then you flip to the back. Same scene, totally creepy. Would definitely be in the National Enquirer. The other book that I wanted to recommend, and again, I have a standalone review on this. It's actually one of my most popular standalone reviews. That would be The Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. So it's not really publicly known what is going on in the town that features in this book. The 70s movie was by far the creepiest. I like the modern one because the ending kind of puts me at peace. But Stepford Wives, you have a family move into a new town, and the women are acting really weird. They're turning into these perfect 1950s housewives, and these women used to be very famous feminists. So it's like, what in the world is going on? But if people actually knew about what was going on in the town, or if a National Enquirer writer knew what was going on in the town, this would totally make the National Enquirer cover. Because, like, who would believe town run by men's council and lady robots? Like, no one would know. I'm actually not entirely sure that they're even robots. I guess I should have said spoiler warning for that. Apologies. Spoiler warning. After I already spoiled it a little bit. But I'm never entirely clear on whether or not they've actually been replaced. I don't know. Debate down below. Next up, we have journalism. So kind of following off of the National Enquirer prompt. Journalism, an epistolary tale. I love an epistolary book. Before I tell you what my book recommendation is, which I'm pretty sure most of you know what my book recommendation is. Come on, we know me. But an epistolary book is essentially a written kind of accounting, like a diary or a journal entry or newspapers. So like Carrie by Stephen King is an epistolary book. House of Leaves is a kind of epistolary. It's like under the epistolary umbrella, it's just in a certain style. I had to take a quick pause to charge my battery for a couple minutes, so if anything looks different. Anyways, I was talking about journalism, epistolary tales. So for this, of course, I have to recommend Dracula. You all know it's one of my favorite books ever. It's told in a diary style, so you have 6 main characters, I believe, and you're just following each of their diaries or their letters back and forth to each other or the doctor's notes as they're trying to find out what's up with this guy. Is he a vampire? What's going on? I will say something, and I have another standalone review on this, but one of the things that people seem disappointed with when they read this book is that Dracula isn't actually in it all that much. It revolves around Dracula. It is about Dracula, but the character of Dracula, we don't actually see all of that much. So I will say that. If you are tired of hearing me recommend Dracula, then I also have Carrie, which I really enjoyed. It's not my husband's favorite Stephen King book, but I love a good epistolary. Again, kind of like The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, it's one of his shortest books. It was his first book. If his wife had not picked this book up out of the trash, Stephen King might never have gotten anything published and become a writer because he was just terrified. So love just this is the book that prompted his whole career. Another one that I would recommend is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. We are following the main character's letters to her friends or her journal entries as she's trying to get through life in the South. There's missionaries. It's a lesbian story. Just this book is very close to my heart. I remember being in high school and I was searching everywhere to find The Color Purple because I'd heard great things about it. I'd never seen the whole movie. I still haven't seen the whole movie, but I really wanted to read this book. And my high school library said they had it in. Every time I talked to the librarian, we couldn't find it anywhere. And we ended up concluding that someone probably stole the copy. But junior year of high school, whenever I got to go to San Francisco for 6 weeks for a program, I actually ended up finding this copy in an old San Francisco bookstore, and it has followed me everywhere since. So highly recommend. Next prompt, we have The Disappearance. There are characters who disappear in the Tower of Terror that kind of kick everything off. So for The Disappearance, an author you don't hear from anymore. This isn't something I really see discussed on BookTube a lot. I don't know that it's something that people think about, but like, I'm sure we all have an author that we would love to see more from that we just haven't heard anything from for a while. And for that, I have to talk about Gillian Flynn. Gillian Flynn was all the rage in late high school for me, because she was later, 2009. So early to late high school, Gillian Flynn was all the rage. Everyone was reading her books. I don't believe I started reading her until college, but I own all of her books. I don't have her novella, but I loved that one. Sharp Objects is the only one that I'm like so on. Dark Places is my favorite book of hers, but we haven't seen a book from her since then. And I just want to know, what is she doing? She's a brilliant writer, a brilliant storyteller. I love that her characters are so dark. There are no truly good people in her books, and to me, that makes her so fascinating as a character creator. And I want to see more from Gillian Flynn, so I have to know, Gillian Flynn, where did you go? What are you up to? I mean, do what you want. It's your life. But also, I would really love to see another book from you. I think I would read anything that she wrote at this point. Next up, A Curse. So for this, I said a story gone wrong. I had to look around a little bit because I don't usually keep stories that don't end up hitting well in the end for me. But I found I do actually have a whole series that when it ended just wasn't quite right. I have not read the prequel novellas yet. I believe there's 9 of them, but I wanted to talk about the Dorothy Must Die series. I believe I also have a review for these 4 books. Dorothy Must Die itself was great. It's like, what if Dorothy ended up becoming a twisted person and being a terrible person and ruling Oz with an iron fist, and then you had to have someone else come and fix it. So I really loved the premise of this series. I liked the characters, I liked the adventures. However, by the time we get to book 4, I didn't love them anymore. I still want to keep them because overall I enjoyed the stories, but it's like by the time you get to book 4, the author had great intentions, but she had ended up kind of writing herself into a corner where she's just got so much story and so much going on that she can't possibly tie it all up, at least not in one book. So the way she ended it was not the way I like to see books ended. Again, she had a lot going on, so I can totally understand why she ended them the way she did. However, it felt like kind of a cop-out because I think she ended up just giving herself too much in this series and ended up being more than she could handle. So that's what I'm going to say for a curse. And then we have an elevator on 11. So in the movie, the elevator is stuck on the 11th story and they need to get to the 12th in order to go to the party and be released into sweet, sweet death instead of this crazy afterlife that they have. And for this prompt, an elevator on 11, I said a character that gets stuck. And I think a character that is very much stuck in her life is Queenie by Candace Carty-Williams. A lot of people have said that they don't love this book because the character is so unlikable. I like unlikable characters. This character just, it's like she's got this previous trauma and this previous history that has led to her having this idea of herself, so she doesn't treat herself well. She's not very nice to herself. She goes out with these horrible guys. She has trouble finding value in herself, and that leads to bad things happening. So I see her as very much being like stuck in this rut, and I liked watching her journey as she tries to figure that out and tries to get herself out of it and tries to clean up her life a little bit and be mentally healthier and be stronger and really try and find value in herself. So excellent book if you too are feeling a little stuck in your life and like you need to get yourself out of a rut. Would recommend this. Last one, Moldy Old Ghosts, a good old classic. I don't have this physical book with me. I actually ended up donating it back to the Friends of the Library because I have my eye on a nice new pretty copy, because sometimes we just have to buy ourselves the pretty covers. And that would be Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've read a lot of Daphne du Maurier at this point. I'm looking forward to reading more. This is one of my favorite books of hers. I always love to describe it as a story that is about the ghost of memory. There are not any true paranormal aspects to this book, but it's very much the memory of Rebecca is haunting the relationship of our main character. She's haunting this manner that the main character is living in. This main character is compared to not the ex-wife, the dead wife throughout the book by other characters. It is the haunting of memory. And if you love a good gothic tale like I do, check out pretty much anything by Daphne du Maurier, but particularly Rebecca is my top favorite. So I hope you enjoyed the Tower of Terror tag. If you have watched this movie, please talk about it or mention it down below, because I really don't interact with a ton of people who have seen this movie or remember this movie. Hopefully this tag will get you to watch it. So because I think their content would do really well with this tag, I would like to tag Coral from Pretty in Paper Cuts, Rachel from Shades of Orange, and I would also like to tag Jordaline. She does a lot of horror books. And then also my friend Demi from the Weird Collection, whenever she's ready to get back to BookTube and start doing videos. I think she would have a great time with this tag. There's also Carolyn Kipland. Again, reads some horror books. I think she'd have a great time with this. I think she might enjoy this movie if she hasn't seen it already. So if you guys would like to do the tag, consider yourself tagged. As for the people on Twitter who specifically asked to be tagged, we have Mel, Hillary, and Ash's Book Advent 1. I'll probably be tagging them on Twitter just so that they know. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. You know the drill. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.